So today I'm sitting here with Mark Patterson. He's a retired law enforcement officer for 8 years. We're going to talk about semi-truck accidents because it's something that is very common, being that there's so much transportation, and he's going to kind of talk to us of what he's seen and just kind of going through a little bit of the science, but also of what he's seen in the past on how to avoid some of these accidents, and we'll go from there. So Mr. Patterson, please tell me a little bit about yourself, and then let's just jump right in.
Well, I was a deputy sheriff at the Polk County Sheriff's Office for 8 years. Love law enforcement. Traffic homicide and traffic as a whole is just something that is very intriguing. If you like math, if you like numbers, you learn a lot by looking at it. Trucking is one of those nuances when it comes to traffic crashes. The reason it's a nuance is many people don't realize the truck weighs much more than the vehicle they are in.
Of course, and I think they realize that they just don't. It doesn't register.
Correct.
Because it's you almost forget that they're there, but they're always there.
Always there. The country runs on commerce, and commerce runs by trucks.
Yes.
And there are warehouses everywhere, so you will always see a truck on the roadway. The goal is to make sure that when you're on the roadway, you're safe. So if you see a truck, always remember, a truck has blind zones that a car normally does not. And so a truck would not be able to see you in areas you would normally be able to be visible when driving in a car. You want to always make sure that you give a truck space.
Okay.
If you're behind the truck, give yourself space behind the truck. If you're in front of the truck, you want to have space between you and the truck as well. If you're on the sides, you want to remember, if you can't see the driver, more likely than not, he cannot see you either.
Now we're speaking about space. When you say space, it gives us some ideas of how much space should they give on the back, on the sides, forward.
Normally when you're driving on a roadway, you want at least 2 car lengths.
Okay.
That's a safe distance away. With a truck, you would probably want to make it maybe 3. Reason being is a truck is higher than you are. Trucks have issues that cars do not have. Many people wouldn't realize this, but you can drive down the road and see a truck on the side of the highway and you don't know what's wrong with it. The tires are all there, everything seems to be fine, but the brakes may have locked up on the trailer, not the tractor itself.
Okay.
So if a truck is driving down the road and for some reason there's a hydraulic issue, the brakes in the trailer lock up, that truck trailer stops while the tractor is still trying to move. And so it can just abruptly come to a stop. And if you're not paying attention, those 3 car lengths get very short very fast. So we want the public to make sure that they give truckers space on the sides as well, because when a truck has to change lanes, a truck is usually 4 car lengths of a vehicle changing lanes. And so they need just as much room. Drivers also need to remember, because of the weight variance, it takes much longer for a truck to stop naturally.
Let's talk about that a little bit, and then we'll talk about the types of accidents that you've seen, but let's talk about the weight issue. Clearly, trucks are much heavier than a regular car will be. How long would you think, and again, I know it's not just an estimate, if I'm driving in front of a truck, and the truck hits the brake because I have to stop immediately, how long do you think it'll take before the truck can actually stop?
At least 4 times what your car would normally stop.
And that's without rain, correct?
That's without rain. Rain is always a variance that adds a distance in braking. So even in a regular vehicle, if there's rain, if the roads are slick, you're going to extend the distance it's going to take for you to come to a stop. Well, with trucks, it's even further. And there are a lot of people who are actual specialists in truck braking, dealing with the air brakes and how the air brakes operate. And when you talk to them and discuss it with them, one of the things they'll tell you is always ensure there is space. Because space gives the truck driver the opportunity to stop. Space gives you the opportunity to stop. Remember, a car, unlike an SUV, is already lower than a truck.
Yes.
And if they don't stop fast enough, they end up underneath the truck, which is almost always fatal.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you can make sure that you provide enough distance between your vehicle and a truck, it allows, first off, severe accidents not to occur.
Okay.
You asked about some of the accidents I've seen. There have been times I-4 has been shut down for 4 hours because of an accident involving a tractor trailer and a vehicle.
And when there is an accident, we'll stay on that topic, but when there is an accident, how many cars are usually involved in the accident, and how bad is the actual accident? Is it fatal? Is there multiple cars? Kind of talk
Trucks will involve multiple cars on a highway because of how big they are. If they jackknife, they can traverse all 3 lanes.
Okay.
And so therefore, multiple vehicles can be involved in an accident at one time. Many years ago, we had a fatal accident on I-4. We had I-4 shut down for 3 days.
Wow.
You can have situations like that that can be completely avoided if people are just driving safely,
Of course.
paying attention on the roadway, watching to see what's happening, and ensuring that they're making sure they're safe and they're being a defensive driver. When you're dealing with a tractor trailer is of such size that it's like almost being the bully in the room. You want to try to avoid the bully in the room.
Of course.
It's safer for you to do that in a safe manner. Stay in the left lane, pass the truck, then come back in the right lane. Don't cut off a truck when you see a truck there, because the truck can't slow down as fast as you can. Even if you think you're going to miss the exit, go to the next exit, because you can get off the next exit safely, turn around and come back safer than trying to cut off the truck and causing a bad accident.
And one of the things I want everybody to realize that beside the speed, beside the weight, for example, my dad was a truck driver for 35 years. These truck drivers are under severe pressure, or they have time constraints that they have to get to one job to the next, to the next, to the next. And many of them are not sleeping. Many of them are going forward. They're taking pills to stay awake, coffee, things like that. Plus they're driving for 15, 20 something hours easily without rest, just to make it to the next stop, to pick up the delivery, go to the next place. There is laws in place, but internally there's still a lot of pressure because they expect you to be on time frames and deadlines, and many of these truck drivers are they fall asleep. They fall asleep in the wheel. I know that because I've seen it happen. And I remember growing up as a kid, my dad would doze off, and he was still awake, driving almost like you're asleep, you're dozing off, but yet you're still driving, and that's dangerous because if somebody does cut you off, you can't stop within time. Have you seen a lot of accidents that involve truck drivers actually falling asleep at all, or?
We had an accident on 27 years ago, I remember, where a truck rear-ended several cars and killed several people simply because the driver either was tired or was not paying attention. He rear-ended people who were stopped at a red light, and as we had talked about before, where they don't stop in time, it was 4 vehicles in before the accident sequence completed. We want to make sure that, at least nowadays, the Florida Department of Transportation is enhancing that with electronic logs, making sure drivers are stopping more. But what we can do as drivers of regular vehicles is help to minimize those accidents as well by observing those trucks.
And sorry, we're actually doing this this interview, and I came to visit Mr. Patterson at his home because he was very nice enough to invite us to his home to talk about these subjects. So I apologize for the background noise. Popular guy. So, but it is true about the truck drivers, because in fact, even me and my family, one day we were coming into a red light and a truck driver hit the brake and they almost rear-ended us, and he almost went off the road. It was that close of an accident. If it would have hit us, it would have probably killed myself and my family. And in fact, in my law practice, I've already helped a few victims. Thank God they were not, it wasn't fatal, but a few people that were involved in these truck accidents, that the accidents are not like fender benders. They literally will tear off a door. They literally will, damage the car to the point that people can't get out of the car. In fact, I have 2 or 3 of them at the moment that's the case right now. And the people that are victims of these accidents have substantial injuries. They can't walk. They have fractured pelvis, broken bones, things like that. And that's kind of what happens because of the weight, because of the speed, because they can't stop in time. So I'm glad that Mark touched on these subjects, because these are real subjects. These are real things that happen to people. And I know a lot of people, they see a truck, they're just trying to hurry up and get around it because they're hurried to go to work. They're just tired of being in the truck. But the truck is there, and the trucks are always there, because commerce is you don't even notice the trucks are there sometimes because it's so often that trucks are driving that you're involved in when a truck actually does cause an accident. Now you do notice. So, Mark, do you want to add anything to the?
Primarily, just always be safe. Pay attention on the roadway. Observe the truckers, and remember that the more we look out for each other, the safer we're all going to be on our roadways.
Okay.
And if you have any questions, give Mr. Reyes a call, because he can give you the information that's going to help you go through these very difficult times when trucks are involved in automobile accidents.
Okay.